Hey everybody, we're going to talk through winter clothing. I live in Chicago. It's a nice cold day. You can probably see that there's ice all over my little deck here. It was nice and beautiful yesterday, we're 40 degrees, and today's freezing cold. But we're going to talk through my winter clothing setup and what I think you need to survive winter on a bicycle. Road biking, mountain bike is a little different. We can touch on a few points, but this is for road, gravel, maybe commuting. Never actually commuted before on a bike, never had to. Anyways, the single most important thing you need, one of these. This is a buff, thank you survivor, a baklava, or just a piece of tubed fabric that's kind of stretchy. This is obviously the Strava one. This is the first thing I put on when it starts to get a little chilly. I'll wear this with summer gear when it gets a little brisk in the morning, keep my neck covered. In the winter time, what's really great about this is you can use it to keep your hair down. You can just have it around your neck to keep the blood flow in your neck nice and warm, get the air off it. Or you can have it cover your ears and your face. It is the single most important tool for winter cycling. So there you go. A 60-degree day. That's around 15 degrees Celsius. What do you wear? I think once you put away your summer kit, the first thing you're gonna need is a long sleeve jersey. Now this is a Rafa jersey. I really like these Rafa long sleeve jerseys. I think they're built very well. This paired with some summer pants and some summer socks and everything else, this thing will take you, from the nice mornings, keep the sun off you on a nice breezy day. It's a fantastic tool. It can be paired with vests, which we'll get to next, to take you down to what I think about 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So super important piece of kit to have. So let's jump to vests. We'll do one vest first. This is my Velocio vest. It is ultra lightweight. It packs down to an insanely small size. It has a nice fleece lining around the neck, and when it wraps around, it actually blocks a lot of airflow to your neck. The front is a solid piece of fabric. It's windproof. The back is actually mesh, so it allows airflow. So this can really take your summer kit and your long sleeve lightweight jersey much farther on those cool brisk mornings and carry with you all day. I'll be using this to climb Mount Lemon in a few weeks. I'll be wearing probably a long sleeve jersey, mostly for sun, but also be probably cool, and then pair this on the way down just to keep it a little bit warmer. The next piece of kit is going to be your heavyweight long sleeve jersey. Now this is a piece of Specialized gear. I think I got it on insane sale, which is why it's kind of an ugly blue. But this is a fleece-lined jersey. It allows you to survive, I'd say, down to probably high 40s pretty easily, depending on how you pair your summer bibs, to either a lined short bib short or a longer bib short. This piece can take it a lot farther. Now these, when paired with the vest, go way further. In fact, I've worn just this, a base layer and a vest, down to almost 35, say less than 5 degrees Celsius. It's super helpful. Now this one is skin tight. I really like these cuffs. They're long, stretchy, and kind of can get up and under your gloves. Some reflective gear. So a solid piece, a fleece-lined jersey. It takes you before you want the jacket, and when the light long sleeve and a light vest doesn't quite do it. A little bit more specialized piece of gear, but super useful for many weather conditions. Let's talk about feet. So my issue in cycling is feet and hands. I find these are the hardest things to keep warm and cause the most discomfort when riding. So when it starts to get a little brisk, I'll put on these little toe covers. Toe covers, I think, are completely underrated. These can be easily thrown on in seconds. Now, I have some no brand ones, but that's actually not the case. They are a brand I got off Amazon, ODIER. Flip them inside out, and boom, it's all black. These are great. These are $10. They get a little worn out, but this is used from, say, 65, 60 degrees, down to 50 degrees is what I'll use these for. Maybe even a little bit lower, down to like 45 if I pair it with a nice thick sock. So super useful to have. And then we have two types of shoe covers. So I got both of these on sale at Bontrager. My Midwestern's coming out, talking about money and sales. But we have two fundamentally different theories on how these work. So this one's mostly windproofing and waterproofing. It's super light, it's not insulated, it's almost the same material inside and out. This is what I'll take from the shoe cover, about 50 degrees, down to about 40, low 40s, high 30s if it's just in the morning, in the sun. So these, keep your shoes clean, they keep your socks clean, they really take the edge off. Super helpful. Now they do get, worn out, and so there's ways to relieve that, get rid of, help fix that. But these are fantastic. Now the next level is your fleece lined shoe covers. Now I wear these, from that high 30s down through freezing, into 25 degree weather. So today's about 26 degrees, so I'll be using these later today for sure. As you can see, they're actually they're a bit fleece lined, and that just helps create the airflow. Air is the actual active insulator, and everything else just kind of seals it out, so you can create your own warmth and keep your feet warm. So let's talk more about feet. The one piece of gear I'm definitely missing is a road cold weather shoe. Now I do have one for mountain biking, and that would really, Lake Shimano make good ones, but that would really take my riding on the road to the next level. But unfortunately, I have not invested in that piece of kit. I'd rather just ride on the trainer, but definitely invest in some nice wool socks. Yeah, otherwise, 45 degrees or less, I'm using these. Let's talk a little bit more about vests. So this is a Velocio, slightly more insulated vest. This is a nice brown color. It's a little bit thicker on the back mesh. It definitely lets air flow out, but it's definitely more insulating than the really lightweight one. We have a soft shell, windproof, waterproof, got pockets on the back. So this is super nice. You can pair this up with, again, the long sleeve insulated jersey that I've tossed on here, or the long sleeve non-insulated jersey that will take you, all the way down to, high 60s through to the low 40s with the two vests and those two jerseys. And we'll talk about bibs in a second. So big fan of Velocio. I think they make some of the best kit on the planet. Headquartered in Chicago now. Thanks, Tram. But super nice. Before we get into all the fun stuff, we're going to talk about how you stay warm. Most people think the thickness has to do with how warm you are, and that's not the case. It's keeping the air that's close to your body dry and letting it warm up is what's going to keep you warm. So when it comes to base layers, the marketing for base layers is very construed. In fact, it's one of the worst categories in cycling gear. When you ask a professional, let's talk about special forces, what they wear, ask them what base layer they're going to wear. They're not going to say wool. They're not going to say anything that's solid. They're going to use mesh. Mesh is the best base layer, hands down. The reason for that is it sucks off the liquid from your body, your sweat, but also allows you to have the airflow. In fact, this is almost too filled in, but it allows the airflow. It allows for the heat to stay close to your body, the moisture get pulled away, and it has little pockets of air all around your body. So a mesh base layer is the single best base layer. Now, followed by that would be a merino wool base layer, mostly because wool retains a good portion of its heat capabilities when wet. Don't go spend a shitload of money on a mesh base layer. I got this from China, Alibaba, AliExpress, whatever, for like $4. It's a little too big for me, but it's $4. I use this inside on the trainer, and I'm gonna get some slightly tighter ones for later in the year. And then you can use this in the summer as well. What other base layers do I have? Well, I have, for slightly cooler, I'd probably wear this one under the fleece line jersey, and I don't plan on stopping. This is just a skin tight kind of active suit. The brand of this one's Reebok. I got this at a resale shop, or like a TJ Maxx for like $5. Gear doesn't have to be expensive if you think and kind of look at what's on the market for athletic gear. It's all pretty much the same. It's just trying to imagine how you're going to use it. So I get actually good use out of this one. I used this for a long time before I got into mesh. Solid piece. Next, we have our Nike Combat Pro fleece lined, very skin tight. I use this in racing, cyclocross races. It keeps really close to the skin. Has a nice little collar. Would not wear this for an extended road ride, but for a cyclocross race or non-stop racing, 45 minutes. Throw this under my summer speed suit, and it works great. Big fan. And finally, This is kind of a blend of the mesh idea, and like the skin tight base layer. So as we get this so I can show it, this is a Under Armour. It's not skin tight. It sits close to the skin, but not quite. But it has these foam-esque insulating blocks all through it, and it kind of acts like a mesh where these sit close to the skin and allow the moisture to come up, but the air to stay close to the skin, and keeps you really nice and warm. This is actually a solid in between. I think this is probably better than wool, skin tight wool. I really like this. So it is their fitted cold gear Under Armour base layer. Let's talk about hands. I'm a big proponent of pogies. I think with a good pair of pogies, you don't even need gloves down to almost freezing. In fact, I rode yesterday in 35-degree weather, no gloves, it was easy. When it does start to get a little chilly, we're gonna switch with pogies, because that's what I preach, to, I guess, to right-hand gloves, but mountain bike gloves. These will take me all the way down to 20 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe -5, 6 degrees Celsius. Fantastic. So it gets a little bit cooler. I have these North Face. I actually bought these to go skiing in Vermont, Stowe, Vermont one time. These will take me all the way down to -10 under pogies. These are plenty. You know, it's their normal North Face kind of soft shell material, slightly insulated, but still light enough to control your bicycle. Now, some people do ski gloves, some people do, you know, thick gloves. I don't like that. It hurts my hand, makes them sore, and then you can't control your bike. Helmets. This is my normal road helmet. I don't really do much. I just wear this. This is the Bontrager XXX Wave Cell. This does fantastic. Not much to say. Just, you know, throw your buff under it. Works great. Some people are proponents of you know, hats. This is a slightly insulated hat, cycling cap. You can throw this under your helmet if you don't have a lot of hair, like if you're you know, kind of lacking in the hair department. Unlike me, this works great. These also have the ability to cover your ears. This is actually, I found this better, you know, mountain biking with a lighter weight helmet. On the road, I just don't like these style caps. They drive me crazy, but not the worst piece of kit. Kind of 50-50. I think your head, you know, you need the ability to let heat off when you're working out on the bike, and so I don't always like covering my head. What I do like doing is when it gets down to like 15, say 20 degrees or less, pull out the ski helmet. These are fantastic. They have nice big earmuffs. This is a Smith ski helmet. This is kind of, I'd go directly from my road helmet to this, you know, around the 20 degree, you know, -5, 6, 7 degrees Celsius number. So very specialized. You know, if you're in the Midwest, you kind of do need it if you're into fat biking or mountain biking or cold weather riding. So now, when it comes to eye protection, you know, huge in the wintertime. My eyes water a lot in the cold weather. So there's two thought processes I have when it comes to winter bike riding. Now, that's either you're riding in the middle of the day, it's super sunny, bluebird day, sun's super bright, kind of low at times. You need a really strong lens. You don't want to get snow blindness. So this is my Oakley Sutro in 24 karat gold. And then also, you know, say it's a slightly, like today, an overcast day. These are the Pit Vipers with the sunset lenses. I use these for cyclocross and some mountain biking as well. These are fantastic. They let a lot of light through. They kind of give you an old orange view of the world. But these work really great in snow and overcast conditions. So let's get into jackets. There's a few thought processes. This is my Pearl Izumi. I picked up in Japan, so it's like the real stuff. Insulated, slightly wind-resistant jacket. Pairs well with the base layer. This is actually probably closer more to an insulated jersey. It's a beautiful piece of equipment. I really like wearing it. This would be like the first level of jacket. Not much weatherproofing, but does work pretty well for you know, cool weather and kind of riding. This is more of my cruise around town, you know, not working out, not training jacket. Our next level, this is where it starts getting real. This is still a soft shell, but it's a much harder wearing material. This is a Bontrager jacket, fleece lined. Now we're getting to the thick fleece stuff. You know, you can pair this with a base layer, another layer, and then something like this, and this could take you down, you know, all the way to that 20 degrees Fahrenheit number. This is where it starts getting serious. You know, this is where you lose all your aerodynamics. You're not riding more than 15, 18 miles an hour in one of these, or you know, you're mountain biking or something like that. So you definitely need to get, you know, one over shell, nice thick insulation, some good pockets. We do still have back pockets. We still have a nice little chest pocket, underrated, that little pocket. Super important for actual cold weather like today. So if am I going out in a little bit, I'll probably be in something like this. Absolutely. My final jacket, even more intense, is this. This is a bit more a soft shell. I'd probably pair this maybe with the windproof vest. This is a piece of Shimano kit. It has some reflective insides, but you can kind of really see the fleece material. This is nice, super warm. This is kind of what I just showed you in the Bontrager, but this feels a bit softer. It feels better for road cycling, whereas this Bontrager one, kind of a harder soft shell. I feel better for mountain biking, harder wearing. This is definitely more road biking oriented. So I've worn this in 25 degrees and gotten way too warm. So plus it's nice and red. I think red kit needs to make a comeback. Super nice. So this is where it gets expensive. Besides the jackets, we have bibs. So I have 4 pairs of cold weather bibs. I always wear bibs. I don't wear you know, waist level stuff. So let's start with my favorite. This is my go-to. This is the Rafa bib. Kind of see with these colors. Pockets are underrated for winter riding. You need pockets to hold things, your gloves. You can't really reach back there. So having hip pockets are fantastic. These are pretty good. The chamois, the butt piece, is amazing. I really like these straps. This is kind of my go-to. This will take me down to the 20 degrees, 25 degrees number. These are pretty water resistant. The one piece of clothing I am missing is an overpant. Now, if I really wanted to get in cold, really crappy, slushy, crappy water conditions, you know, rain, snow, whatever, I need an overpant that's fully waterproof. And I don't have that. But I do have these bibs, so these are fantastic. These are my go-to. Underrated. I know I mentioned Pearl Izumi already, but I think they make really good products. This is my first wintry bib. Not quite the same level of thickness and quality. The chamois is not quite as good. They have pockets, but it works really well. Great entry level. I'll use this on the slightly warmer days, and you know, you can see as you can see, I've worn through this quite a bit. Not the worst stuff. Another piece of Pearl Izumi. This is their 3/4 bib. Really great. I use this, no pockets. I've used this on really cold cyclocross days. These are nice and thick, very soft and very flexible. Very flexible. I think very useful. These are kind of, you know, the 45 degree weather days. You know, you might have an over boot on, you might not. You just want to keep your knees warm. I don't actually believe in arm and knee warmers. I think they drive me crazy. I don't want to take them on and off. Some people love them. I don't need them. I'd rather just ride a little bit harder and warm up. But this is the good in between, the 3/4 length. And then finally, you know, for your mountain biking, don't spend your money on expensive mountain biking tights. They're going to get ripped. This is a Bay Leaf, Chinese Amazon brand bibs. These are fleece lines. You know, they're all at the same factory anyways. These are definitely not the best chamois, but for mountain biking, you know, buy the cheap $30 thermal bibs. These will work fine. Plus, mountain biking is more intensity, and they work fantastic. So, you know, what piece of equipment am I missing? Yeah, the shoes, overpants, and kind of like the really crappy, you know, on top, you know, completely waterproof and windproof jackets, and then obviously the thick gloves because I'm a poggy guy. So, you know, that's an overview of pretty much all my winter cycling gear. Thank you for watching. You know, any specific requests about specific weather conditions, happy to talk through. Thank you to everyone in London. You are the most watching city. And to the 4 women that watch my channel, thank you. And everyone's pretty much my age and male, you know, 25.